When I was a biology major, I was studying more whole organisms, cellular level. It's hard for me because of the way I think about things. Once I started seeing the molecules, and in 3 dimensions, just all made sense. And I would actually dream that I was inside of a protein structure. I'd be like, oh, there's a lysine and there's a glutamate, and I would be dreaming about this. I knew that's what I wanted to do. My name is Shelley Lusetti, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry here at NMSU. I started off in school at the community college level, transferred to UC Santa Barbara, and it was when I was there that I started working for a biochemist, actually a structural biologist, crystallographer, and I fell in love with molecules. When you start the way I did later in life, I was very unsure of myself, and all I knew was that I really needed to be in school and needed to get things going. It was people who stop and talk to you and try and figure out that you are a person that is worth an opportunity, and there's been a ton of those people. The main thing that we're interested in understanding is understanding the enzymes that are expressed in response to DNA damage in cells. We use bacterial models because they're easier to work with and we can work at a basic science level more efficiently. But we really want to understand the changes that occur in cells upon DNA damage. So enzymes are upregulated, they're expressed, and we want to know what the function of those enzymes are. And it's amazing how little we actually know about all of those proteins that are expressed in response to DNA damage. One of the things we look at very carefully is how cells respond to ionizing radiation and how cells become resistant to that radiation. And that's very important for cancer therapy. So we all know people that have had cancer, and the very first thing that happens is that you go through a radiation treatment. Sometimes that works, but all too often that cancer comes back. And those cells that come back are now resistant to that radiation, and you have to go on to some other kinds of treatment. And so long term, what we're really interested in is understanding all of the changes that can occur in a cell to make cells become radiation resistant. When I started doing research on DNA repair, it was answering question to question. I get this result, and now that brings up a new question. And so it wasn't until I started my own lab that I really had to start thinking about the bigger picture of what all of this means. And I think that's a continuum in science that's really important, and we see that in our own students and our graduate students. They may understand the piece that they're working on, but it is our job as the PI of a lab to put that all together and look further. And that has been the biggest growth in myself as a scientist since I came here. Looking at the long-term goals is something you absolutely have to do. You have to do it because we have been given the opportunity to do this science, not only by the university, but by taxpayers. We absolutely have a responsibility to give back to the good of humanity in general, no matter what it is that we're studying, but also to have projects that give students the opportunity to learn scientific method and someday go on and do this for themselves. There are a lot of things that keep me at NMSU. So one of the main things is the students. Providing opportunity for students that come from not the most affluent backgrounds. I also was an underrepresented student when I started, and I really want to provide those opportunities. One of the reasons I selected NMSU when I took this job is because it gave me an opportunity to interact with undergrads at a different level. A lot of the schools that I went to, I didn't interact very much one-on-one with my professor. And that's something that I really wanted to be able to provide. And because I have my hands in the science all the time, I think that makes me a much more effective teacher. So I come from a family where college was never discussed. And so I had my family first, and I didn't start college until I was about 27 years old. When I told my husband that I was wanting to go to graduate school, he took a deep breath and said, "Do what you gotta do." And I moved my family all the way across the country to go to graduate school, and my youngest child was 2 when I started graduate school. And I just want to say that I could never have gotten here in this short of time, at least, without the support of my family, all of my kids, and my husband especially. Shelley Lusetti, Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, College of Arts and Sciences.